This evening, I just want to talk to you for just a brief moment. You owe a debt. In Matthew 6:12, as Jesus is teaching his disciples how to pray, Jesus refers to our sins as debts. He says there, "And forgive us our debts as we have forgiven our debtors." In Luke's account of the same record in Luke 11:4, he says, "And forgive us our sins." Both words used here, debts in Matthew and sins in Luke respectively in the Greek, are referenced to legal terms. Debt means literally something owed. The version of the word itself translated to sins here is the idea of trespassing the law or a departure from what is right. You owe a debt. Romans 3:23 says, "For all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God." When you became old enough to sin against God, when you trespassed his law, you became responsible for that debt. The first half of Romans 6:23, he says, "For the wages of sin is death." I hope we understand what he says there when he means the only payment that can be made for that debt is death. It's a bleak thing to realize. However, we do have hope. Turn to Colossians 2:14. Colossians chapter 2 and verse 14, it says, "By canceling the record of debt that stood against us with its legal demands, this he set aside, nailing it to the cross." The Greek word used here that was translated as record of debt literally means a document, especially a note of indebtedness, written in one's own hand as proof of obligation. You see, when you sin against God, when you break his law, you sign a note of debt that can only be paid with death. 1 John 4 verses 10 says that in this is love, not that we have loved God, but that he loved us and sent us his Son to be a propitiation for our sins. We don't use that word propitiation a lot. What it means is to regain favor or turn away wrath. Simply put all of this together, God sent his Son Jesus, a willing sacrifice, to be put to death in our place. He took our debts that we had handwritten. He took them for us and he nailed them to the cross. In so doing, he turned away the just wrath of God that we rightly had earned, all because he loved us. Ephesians 2 verse 8, they call it the gift of God. Will you accept God's gift? It truly is simple. If you have never accepted the gift of God, have been washed in his blood to be forgiven of sins, why not? If you have been washed before, but have fallen to the side and let the debt of sin pile back up on you, please come back to him. Let him wipe you clean and accept his grace and mercy. We all are here for you. If any of this applies to you, ask that you come forward now as we stand and as we sing.